maybe some other people. Why do people think this is so impossible to happen? We just watched what 100 guys become the richest men on the planet, and if you were lucky to be their wives, the richest wives of billionaires on the planet in the last 30 years didn't come from institutions, outsiders. Why don't people think this is absolutely happening to Bitcoin? I really don't know what gets people stuck.
Here's the thing, and this is going to sound really sad for anyone who carries a tremendous amount of empathy for the world, but I think you and I having this conversation and everyone being here, and it's great because it doesn't really matter anymore, right? They're too late, and that is going to sound harsh for a lot of people. And I certainly agree that no matter where you're at financially, you should be saving in Bitcoin. You should be buying Bitcoin on a monthly basis, et cetera, et cetera. But there's we're moving past the point of the inflection, and when we go past $100,000 for one Bitcoin, it now turns in for the average person into a savings tool, and the opportunity is quite frankly going away, if not gone already for the average person. I'm talking about the moment where you become an influence is gone. It's finished. I've been shouting
Well,
about it for a year and a half. Like,
it could actually accelerate. Um, I mean, try this. It could accelerate your view on real estate getting destroyed,
yep,
because when you see this happen, people are going to unload their equity. I mean, they should have already done this, right? I mean, your first entry point into Bitcoin to me should be, show me, once you understand it, hey, show me anything you have invested in anything, anywhere, and let's compare the returns. I mean, to Shamal's point, he bought real estate. Wow, impressive. That move didn't hold up, but I'm not as hopeless as you, man. I think this will drive people with $200,000 worth of equity to buy Bitcoin,
agreed.
and
No, I completely agree on that. I just
and it'll depress real estate prices, because
right.
you shouldn't be able to say that you're actually buying something when you have a mortgage on it. It's you don't You've rented it. You've done a long term, super long lease. That's it. That's all you've done with a mortgage.
Gary, the exciting thing is obviously, the banks are using mortgages to put credit out there in the market. How long until they realize that they need to pivot to Bitcoin and those 30-year mortgages come over to Bitcoin, right? And then the house prices can depreciate, which is what they should, down to, in my opinion, utility value, which is
Yep.
significantly lower than where we're at. So everyone can have a home and everyone can build a family and we can start allowing people to actually do the things that are actually important for the world. Um, but how long until those mortgages, those 30-year fixed rate mortgages, come over to Bitcoin? That's what's exciting to me. That's the BlackRock play to me. That's the bigger play here.
Yeah. Well, I personally think it's happening a hell of a lot faster than anybody would have thought.
Agreed. I think we can see altcoins falling and really underperforming this entire narrative. I'm curious for thoughts on that, and I have some thoughts to share myself.
Personally, I think with the alt market, you're going to be a genius or an idiot depending on the time period you gauge. So at this point, I think to Bruce's point, I don't think it's too late to buy Bitcoin. Okay, $90,000. I believe there's a lot of people that have, if your life depended on it, somebody stuck a gun in your face, you could figure out a way ethically to go make 25, 40, 50, 100 grand. Sorry, like I am like you stick my head underwater, dude. I'll go. Oh, I got to make 1 million. Done. Let's roll. So I could do that in 30 days if I really had to. I do not believe people just. This is such a cool opportunity. If you could grab 2 Bitcoin, man. I mean, why wouldn't you go into overdrive? You guys go on fucking holiday all the time. So why wouldn't you like go? I'm going to go on this great adventure and go grab 180 grand and buy 2 Bitcoin and secure the future of my entire family. In fact, if you got a buddy, um, shit, go do it together, man. Figure it, put a deal together. In fact, British, I realized the other day I've been so stupid. Um, if you had a 2.5% mortgage, you know what everyone's telling you? Don't sell that. Don't sell that. It's going to cost you 7%. Dude, let me tell you something. I would sell my house if I was a 65-year-old person. First off, I would rent. I would
Right.
immediately rent, and then I would convert all that. But just say that you absolutely have to have a home because you have sex with squirrels at night. You can't possibly have any supervision. Whatever your deal is, you would still be better off selling your damn house, liquidating $500,000, then getting into a seven, an eight, a 10% loan. Okay, even at 10% minus the 3.25, you're at 6.75 interest to buy Bitcoin.
Gary,
That's the way you get into Bitcoin, even if you think it's late. But it's most certainly this is going to be the structure. I think I can buy this again at 72 British and others in 2 years or 2.5 years.
Gary, quick question. Those people you're just talking to about selling it, what about a HELOC? 8%
Yep.
paid
Do
over
that.
time.
But Gary, what comes to mind is when you came on my show about almost a year and a half now, and you were talking about just the numbers. I think we forget about the finite capacity of Bitcoin at 21 million, and you were basically bringing up the numbers of the number of millionaires globally. There's was I can't even. It's something in. It's like 62 million or something millionaires globally or something. So even at that level, if we take half of them, not even all of them can have a Bitcoin, let alone all the people that are aggressive on the lower retail side. And I do think it is interesting, British, as you're saying, this is getting to the point where hypothetically it's pricing out. I'm actually curious if they're going to start changing sort of the purchase contracts of this on a marketing sort of ploy where rather than going to buy Bitcoin, which we all know this, but a newcomer doesn't, where you go and you buy Satoshis, right? Because then you're getting this, it's almost like you're buying a meme coin in that you're getting this huge sort of huge value. The total number of what you're getting makes people feel better.
Kelly, if somebody came up and sold that, it would sell like a mother. Unbelievable. It would sell like a freight train.
Guys, I love the optimism, and it's great, right? And I think we should continue the education around Bitcoin no matter what the price is. But let's be realistic now. We're talking about the United States of America that is fully aligned from the president to the House to the Senate, like all aligned around Bitcoin. They're about to put Howard Lutnick as the Treasury Secretary, who quote unquote one of the 24 firms that can directly print money from the Federal Reserve, and quote unquote said we own a shit ton of Bitcoin. The American government is about to launch a strategic reserve, which means it's going to force every other country to have to do that. You've then got the sailor put in the market because he's raised 42 billion dollars to buy Bitcoin, which guarantees a floor price of 160,000 on the second round, which is in the bear market. And then if he doesn't run through that by Q2, Q3 next year, and then does another $200 billion instead of the 42 billion that he's already done, which then guarantees you a floor price of $600,000 for a 3 year quote unquote bear market. Like, this is, if at this point, if you are listening to this spaces to try and understand whether you need to buy Bitcoin or not, you are fucking late. Like, that's it. That's the reality. We can do all the happy hippie horse shit, whatever. You are late. You better get your shit together and you better make some moves this week. Like, it is done. It is over. The game is up. We're about to start getting China having to buy, or having to at least publicly state that they're buying because America's buying. We're about to get MicroStrategy accessing hundreds of billions of dollars worth of bond market. That is a $40 trillion market in the United States. People really don't understand how completely fucked they are if they have not taken action on this until right now.
The market cap is 1.8 trillion as of today. So you raise a great point, and it's scary. At the same time, you have plays out there such as MLG Coin, which is
Wait, wait, what's scary? I didn't understand that. The market cap was scary?
the market cap is at 1.8 trillion.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I find that to be low compared to, you look at Nvidia, which I think is blown way out of proportion at 3.6 trillion. Or on the other hand, you have MLG Coin, which is only
We don't,
5 million.
by the way, we don't want to say that anymore. Okay. If NVIDIA is followed by the entire free world and considered the greatest company in the world, like, yeah, hey, they must be right. Okay. They must be
That's a
right.
good
Because,
point.
I mean, there's a case behind, the fastest growing company in the world is MicroStrategy by a freaking mile.
Yep.
And we need to use that, start comparing, hey, you guys need to wake up. Okay, these princes, these kings in this extreme revolution of technology, you may be a king for a month, a year or two, but like this is the race of the most intelligent and at the right timing. Bitcoin has no time. So that's why it's going to eat all these guys up, because it's just going to be absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the fastest growing and the best Twitter community around that will ever exist is the MLG community. My
Listen,
case is
listen. You're
rested. God
here to
bless you all.
promote a shitcoin, Jake, and
What's MLG, bro?
we're trying to
No, you
explain
got
to
it.
you the importance of what the fuck is going on here, and you're
Man.
promoting a shitcoin. You're sitting there with your 5 or 10 or 15 or 20,000 dollars, while there's people in the audience who've worked their entire fucking lives to build a net worth to leave for their children, and it's being printed out of existence. They put it into houses that are going to be stripped out from underneath them, and you want to sit here talking about a fucking shitcoin when you're trying to make 100% return on. We're trying to protect people's futures, their last names here. So fuck off. Excuse my language.
Yeah, who was that, by the way?
Some guy named Jake. I removed him. If I see him,
Bro,
I'll point him out
Jake,
there.
Jake, I just want to be clear with you, son. Do not ever come in this room and shill anything. Okay, you're not welcome to shill. You're welcome to come back and repent for your sins. Tell your mother that she failed to teach you good manners, son. All right, and if you got a boss, tell him you're a horrible business development guy. All right, thanks, guys.
Hey Gary, if I could jump in 1 second, you mentioned about the Middle East getting into this. I don't know if you guys recognized, but last night at the UFC fight, of course, we all saw Elon and we saw Kid Rock next to him. A lot of people didn't recognize who was to his right, which was our left, which happened to be the president of the PIF. If you guys are familiar with that, that is the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund, which is the largest public investment fund in the world. He's the governor, also owner of Newcastle United Football Club and some other clubs. So tell me they're not yapping a little bit about some things in there about Bitcoin and some other things. So to your point, also British, I think things are happening pretty quickly here. Just want to jump in and say that I think that's an important point to add.
British hop down, but who can you
Hey,
explain
I'll
who
jump
the
in. What's up, Gary?
Yeah,
Man,
yeah. His name is Yasir Al Romian.
I shared it up in the
all
top of the
right.
nest there.
Hey, what's up,
Yeah,
Gary? How you
yeah.
doing, brother?
Do you hear everybody else talking, bro?
No, I apologize. I didn't. Man, my bad if I'm talking over
Ain't
someone.
no sunshine where she
Come
I'll
on,
put you
man.
down
glows.
and bring you back.
You want?
Okay, who's got a price for me by the end of the week? End of the week, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern time.
I'll take your under, Gary.
Let let's why don't well, this is what I like to do. Aiden, how many people are in the room, guys? Mike, can you see Kelly?
970.
Oh man, 970. Now I just need to go through my little shame spiral with you guys, okay? There's 54 reposts. Is that correct, Aiden? Just confirm before I shame these people into
No,
oblivion.
no, there's 34 reposts.
Okay,
54.
I show 54. I would just like to tell you that you guys seem to have forgotten the manners that your parents taught you, or you didn't have parents, or they were slobs. 900 people in the room and nobody's reposting. Come on, man. Is the information not worth you listening to? And if it is worth you being in here, why aren't you reposting it? So let's play a little game now that I've shamed you. The game will be Friday, 6 p.m. No, 8 p.m. Eastern. What is your prediction of the Bitcoin price um, at the close that evening at 8 p.m.? And that'll be on Binance. I'll promote my respect for CZ. Um, okay, let's go. And Kelly, what do you think? How long do you think that would take us to get 100 people? See, not 450 people should do this. But Kelly, you want to take a bet on how many people? I'll bet you $1,000, Kelly, right now. You'll get some free cheap PR. I'll bet you $1,000 we can't get one half of the audience. How many people in the room right now? Round it down.
930.
Good. I bet we can't get 400 people to quote their prediction of the price by Friday. What do you think? You take it? Which side you take?
I take that they won't.
You take that they won't, huh?
But let's get it. What you want to comment down below and then retweet it or quote tweet
You
this?
don't have to comment. Just I need to see that, and they've already had a head start now. So starting right now, you have less than 90 seconds. We need 100. No, we need 200 numbers on Friday night. Price of Bitcoin on Friday, 200. I'm going to bed. I'm going
Let's
to hold you hostage just like old Biden did.
I'm
Kelly, what do you think the number's going to be, bro? So TikTok, we're going. Okay, I'm counting.
I'll stay on the bullish side. I'll say 96K.
96K by Friday. Okay. Next, anybody else?
I'm bearish. I got 84,700.
Ooh.
That was my other number. It was 84. So
Aiden, I was going to undercut you there. I'm going to go 83,500.
Okay, anybody else? Smash the number up.
Someone already saying 96 because that was my
Yeah, I
prediction.
was gonna say
96. Michael, is
96.
that Michael? Okay.
No, it's asteroid. I'll say 97 then. 97 because
Okay, we're at
I think we're
23
gonna hit
seconds.
100 by like Thursday, and then it's gonna there's gonna be a sell wall. We'll go back down to like 97.
I
Oh,
agree with that.
wow.
I agree with that 100%.
Okay, well, okay, you can also say it'll qualify for the number what you think the peak will be this week.
Shit, like 100 and like 100. What you know what I mean? 100,100, something like that.
Yeah, exactly, man. If you said, "Hey, I think it's going to do 84, but I think we could see a 92," and it settles. You
It's
see, it's
gonna.
about to close, right? So we're just picking one moment in time. Okay, guys, you got 0 seconds. We are out of time. Put down your pencils. Do not share your answers with any other classmates, even if they will French lick you. Um, Bring it up. How many people we got there, guys? I see only 100 and oh wow, 169 just jumped there. Amazing.
yeah, we got about 880 in here, but I'm scrolling through. We got some interesting numbers: 84.7, 97, 97, 110, a couple 110s.
Oh
But
wow.
I do want to, I do think there's some people fearful of the. We have that pretty. I think it's the largest CME gap that we've ever had, but I kind of feel like everybody is waiting on that, and I kind of feel like it's going to run away from it and kind of max pain those people. But that's 70 78 to like 81 or something like that. I don't think we're gonna clear it, but if we do, hey, I'll be buying.
What's a CME gap?
CME futures trades on traditional market hours, so it closes Friday and opens Sunday. So if the price moves up over the weekend, then when the futures open, then you have a gap below, and about 85 to 88% of those get closed. So when you do have a gap below, a lot of time people look for the trade to go down to fill that gap. But I just there's so much bullishness, man.
One thing I found with the CME gaps, Kelly, is like when you've got a very clear CME gap, the market will push in the opposite direction. I think it kind of works into what you were saying earlier, where you was expecting a little bit of a push up into that psychological $100,000 region. Then I think if we was to get a big sell off at that point, you'd get the early market participants coming into short at that point, thinking, there we go, psychological resistance, done and dusted, cycle over. Then that is fuel for the fire for the big final push. So with CME gaps, I do think it gets filled, but I think that's potentially a CME gap that gets filled in the next bear market. It will get filled in my eyes, no doubt about it, but probably in the next bear market.
We
I
got
keep I keep hearing nation states buying or sovereign nations, and my question is, I assume sovereign nations don't have to file a 10K like a MicroStrategy. So saying that they're gonna know in the next month, but if I'm a nation, if I'm a sovereign state, I'm not really ever probably publicly telling you my purchase price. So why does everyone keep saying that we'll know in a month?
Well, I think it's probably there's I would if I had to guess, there's probably at least somewhere between 3 and 5 that are already slowly buying. We're already seeing a number of them using state resources for mining Bitcoin. We did see that Poland is they actually posted that they're working on a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And by the way, everybody out here, make sure you go and follow Satoshi Action Fund and Dennis Porter because they've been doing the Lord's work for Bitcoin. Uh, Really great stuff they're doing, helping build all the legislation and get it pushed through for these, state Bitcoin treasuries as well as other now nation states as well. But I actually posted up there in the nest something that from their fund. There's 10 U.S. states right now currently working on strategic Bitcoin reserve legislation. 4 countries are working on their own strategic Bitcoin reserves. And yeah, if the U.S. is broadcasting that we have a bill on the floor for this, I can't imagine not only just nation states. There's got to be some buying going on stealth mode, but also pretty large players out there. We saw the same thing happen with gold in the
Kelly,
last. Yep.
I agree. Like, I usually never bought into the hopium of the countries are buying, but it really looks like that. And I wish we could. I know there's some people out there who know who it is. Who it is. I wish they would leak it. Who do you think it is?
I mean, I think obviously there's been a lot of major moves from the UAE and Dubai area. In on that case, I would think Abu Dhabi would probably also
Yeah, there's
be.
a Abu Dhabi Bitcoin conference too in like 3 weeks. Kind of
Yep.
just, I think so
But then
too.
Singapore tends to be pretty crypto friendly. Korea, but then of course, if the U, I would say the UK because I would say the UK because of just our strategic alignment and stuff. But just seeing the way the administration is doing anything in the UK right now, I think they'd be too dumb to be making
It'd be
purchases.
funny to find out the price Germany buys back their Bitcoin. They sold at 53 Sunday.
Oh, Russia would be
Kelly,
on that list too for sure.
Kelly, our government in the UK is fucked.
Doesn't Russia mine it? And weren't they pretty open about it?
Yeah, they do, and they've already also made acknowledgments that they're working towards having Bitcoin as one of the mechanisms for international trade settlement. And I'd be interested to see if it takes up a bigger portion of the discussion with BRICS as well, because at the end of the day, you can't have even if they quote unquote make their own currency for that. I see a Bitcoin some things that's agnostic to all these different political different jockeying and stuff. Bitcoin's gonna I think in the long run win in a big way for international not only commerce and store of value, but just it's agnostic to all the stupid fucking games that governments play and everybody's becoming aware of.
Yeah, the whole notion of using gold in these modern times is just it's kind of ridiculous if you really think about it from a first principles sort of standpoint. It literally makes no sense.
Hey, when is that Abu Dhabi conference.
I think like
What's
December,
what's
like December
what's the name?
9th or 11th. Like it's a couple of weeks, man. Do you think that they were
Fuck, I
buying?
think I'm supposed to be speaking at that actually.
I think you are, Gary. I think I saw you in the list.
Oh, it's called Bitcoin Mina.
Yeah. Do you?
Uh,
You know what? I bet those nations were stacking, but when they saw Trump win and Trump announced the stockpile, they probably were like, "Oh shit, we got to get ahead of this," and just amped it up, and that's why you saw this like big, huge candle. Is my
That might
thinking.
have been the weekend bid too.
Oh
nah,
yeah, I think
I don't
so.
think I don't think you're gonna see people buying like that. They're gonna use algos to buy. They're gonna follow the sailor strategy. This is gonna be methodical and it's gonna be awesome. You guys really need to like once these guys come in, it's
Yeah,
really leapfrog the
but
entire
but that
process.
that takes a long time though. Like to me,
Now,
it doesn't take longer, but to me it looked like whoever the algorithm was buying it said it doesn't care. We just got to get this shit before some event happens. It's like they know something's coming, and they don't care if there's this like slippage char- characteristic.
Yeah.
oh, you're saying right now you're seeing less care for slippage.
Well,
Yeah.
not right now, but like last week and like last Saturday,
Yeah.
remember it just exploded, and it's like, what the hell's going on? It was like,
68 to 88 in a week. That's not retail. That's somebody that says, I need a position. I don't care. I need it now.
yeah, and it doesn't. There was no care for affecting the price. It didn't. It just looked like just buy whatever, buy it now.
Yeah. Well, you know how China buys stuff, right? They go into a country. Does anybody know? Because the way they buy something is there's never a price.
They steal
It's
resources.
well, whatever, man. But their contracts basically allow them to take whatever they agree to take ad infinitum at market minus or plus something. All they want is the resource. See, they're smart. If we were smart, we would do the same thing. Sell everything at market, okay, and figure out how to do it as an aggregator much more efficiently than you can at market, and that would make a really healthy market. But this is going to accelerate very rapidly because the game theory, corporately, state, federal, country, sovereign, and internet, and now we have. I mean, to say that Michael Saylor's company, MicroStrategy, just catapulted about 120 performance over NVIDIA, something that took NVIDIA 25 years. Saylor did this in 4. Like, this is going to get everyone's attention because they don't even have to do Bitcoin now.
Are you planning on
Um,
the buys on heavy right now, Gary?
oh, dude, like I just sold my silver and the fucking wire 850, 860. Like I would absolutely, and yeah, I would buy here.
I dumped
Why?
all my
Why?
Nvidia and put it into MSTR and IBIT FBTC. All of it.
Oh, dude, look. Hey, did I tell you guys that they had exposure? I said I can buy Bitcoin. I don't know about 300%, 100% ago from Nvidia, and Nvidia has done very well. Don't get me wrong, but they're a monopoly. Guess what? CEO has an address. I'm looking at Bitcoin going, I have a monopoly in Bitcoin. They use the machines that Nvidia sold someone, and it allows me to buy Bitcoin without any hassle whatsoever. And there, I have no antitrust risk. Well, guess what? The SEC just made a filing, or one of the financial, they think they're cooking the books, mark to market, Enron accounting style. Nvidia, that stock could go down 30% overnight. This
Well,
is going to wake
I
everyone up, guys.
I made like 600%, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's enough. And furthermore, here's the thing about the AI thing. AI
Well, if
is
you make 600% on Bitcoin, I think if you're a long-term player, it doesn't sound like you're probably a 4-year, 6-year. Hey, I got a bunch of things. I got some long-term stuff that I'll play around. Whatever your condition is. Um, so you moved it into Bitcoin from Nvidia?
Yeah, I sold 90% of it and I moved it into IBIT, MSTR options, and FBTC. Yeah. Um, My thinking here's the thing about
No, no.
AI.
Let me ask you a
Well,
question.
okay,
Can I ask you a question? I'm always interested in it. It's
sure,
very, my questions are
sure.
very genuine, too. Um, Now you must have a thesis for going into MicroStrategy, right?
Yeah,
Not necessarily. Okay, so because you have a separate allocation.
I've actually been buying it since they started buying it in 2020.
Yeah, that's
But
cool. But let me ask you then, why do you now use the ETF?
I have ETFs too. So originally
But
I
but
had
why? But why? But why?
wait, why? Which part? Which one?
Well, why if you bought the MicroStrategy position, if you bought their strategy,
You
it
mean
is not an ETF, right? It is not an ETF. I think it has some characteristics that are very, very different than an ETF. And
it,
my question is, why would you have three ETFs, even if it's equal holdings, against MicroStrategy? I just don't know why I would have both. I think I would have one or the other.
you mean
Yeah,
ETF? Like,
why would you have MicroStrategy and then ETFs and not
so
MicroStrategies and Bitcoin itself?
wait, big. Sorry, there's a lot
Why
going.
wouldn't you sell your Bitcoin ETFs to buy a MicroStrategy with it?
Wait, I'm getting blasted with all sorts of different questions. So here's what happened. I had a 401k where I could buy my own stuff, and there was really not ETFs. There was GBTC, which was I had some of that. So I mostly put it almost all in MicroStrategy with handfuls of other things. Then the ETFs came out. I did sell some MicroStrategy, but I just had a gut feel. A lot of what I do is gut. I don't know why. I don't really do a lot of research. I just kind of go with the flow, and it seems to work out. But a lot of people were saying that MicroStrategy was done, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it. My gut feel was it would outperform, so I just held on to a lot of it. I did swap some, like 20% for IBIT or whatever FBTC. But then as time went on and I studied it, I realized it might continue to outperform because they have this like Bitcoin yield thing. So there's like this kind of growth factored into it, as well as all these other kind of buying forces, like if they get included in the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, and there's all this other kind of crazy shit, like they could loan it out, which I don't really have in my brain and part of the evaluation. I think it's good to have both. The doubt, everyone going 100% MSTR though. Here's the thing: that nav can collapse. I mean, there's no reason it couldn't collapse below. So you couldn't. I mean, the thing could lose a lot of value. The ETFs can't. You can't really trade below, right? Because they have a mechanism to fix it. So I feel like people are probably not thinking about the risk. To be honest, I think I would recommend personally for me like having 20% of your Bitcoin holdings, something like that. But I don't know, man. Yeah, I have it all. I think it's best to have it all. Have cold storage, have ETFs because you can use it to take loads against or sell calls, and then have some like strategy, a little bit of call, a little bit of leverage. That's the way I would think about it. Kind of a basket.
Speaking of being diversified as far as Bitcoin, Gary, did I hear right that you own a mining company? Is that true?
No, bro, I don't own a mining company. When
Okay,
you see
I thought
Gary,
you had mentioned
when you
that
see
before
Gary
that you had a mining.
Cardone buying anything that produces a commodity, you should just like start to sell short me for everything.
Gary, you got
I
some
I hate.
mining stocks, right?
Oh yeah, but that's different.
I think that's what he's asking.
Yeah, no, I do have. Well, and I own a
Which
company in this
ones?
space. I think that's what he was. I So I own Clean Spark, Iron, um, Cipher, and Woofa Woofa Woofa.
Okay, yeah, I have a tiny bit of clean spark and iron, not much.
Yeah, and I have MicroStrategy. I don't have the ETFs.
How come?
Um,
Why not?
well, I don't know why I would. I don't know what it offers me.
So
Um,
it's one thing is like the thing about
yeah,
cold
but
storage is the loans. If you want to get a loan against it, it's very high interest rates, and also
yeah.
that's the
You think
issue.
you think what loan to value on an ETF is what? I've got
Oh,
$10 million sitting in ETFs. What's the loan to value?
I haven't looked, but I think you can do it now for iBet, and it's a lot lower than like doing it on Unchained. Unchained is man,
No,
they
no,
don't
no. I'm
offer it
asking
anymore.
you how much. Okay, look. So if I have MicroStrategy, do 80% loan to value, no problem.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. If you have MicroStrategy, you can use that for cash
But
flow
that
too.
isn't that our conversation?
Yeah, you can use
I,
both. You can use both for liquidity.
I
Totally
think
fine.
the
Yeah.
loan to values are the same. It's just what rate are you going to get?
Yeah, it's the rate. The rate's very high with like I don't even think to be honest though, Unchained
No,
doesn't offer
no.
United States.
I think you guys are talking out your ass. Okay, I asked what I think that's wrong. Okay, I think the bank will look at me owning MicroStrategy and an ETF. They will look at them both the same way, and I will get if I wanted $100
No, I
against that portfolio.
completely
They
agree with
if I
that. No, I agree with that. I was saying cold storage, the rates are very high. That's what I was saying.
yeah. Well, but why are we talking about cold storage, dude? Why do you guys do this to me?
Oh,
You're killing me. You're killing me. We have 900 people in the room. Okay, we were talking about ETFs versus micro strategy stock. You said you had both, and
oh,
I was just trying to understand logically why would you have both?
oh,
I must
yeah.
be doing something wrong.
It's just there's different risk factors and there's different pump factors, right? It's
Okay,
they're
all
different.
right. Yo, David Hill, what's up? What's up? And then we're gonna go to Resolute. We're gonna go to Krogs. What's up, son?
What's up, brother? I was wearing my BTC hat yesterday because I've been buying it, Gary. I
Stud
I you
puppy.
know what? I it's hard to believe that I'm actually bought it at 90,000, man. I would have told you a year and a half ago that made no sense. So, I mean, you conditioned me well, brother. I appreciate that. And I'm a buyer, so I'm gonna keep chipping away. I love it. I had this bike, a giant bike that I don't ride anymore. I used to use it for triathlons, and so I sold it, and I had the person pay me in Cash App, so I could throw that into some Bitcoin too. So I'm just loading up everywhere I can. But I do want to show something on here, brother, because I hate to do it to you, but I got to show the Buffalo Bills, baby. Got to show the Buffalo Bills, man. They killed the Chiefs today, man. I'm all excited about that. You see my hat? I love it. I don't know. Gary's like, I don't care about no football, but listen, I'm an old school Bills fan. I've been a Bills fan my whole life, so man, I'm excited. I feel like this is the year they're gonna take the Super Bowl. It's a good,
Dude, I had a party for 100 kids here last night, and I have to be a little careful what I'm gonna say here. And the lady that one of the mothers, my deal was, hey, I'll supply the location, and but you guys, do all the decorations and stuff, and mostly I don't want to clean up. That's my big bitch. Anyway, because what happens is that hey, can I have a glass of wine? And then glass of wine's 2 glasses of wine, and she's hammering on the champagne, but anyway, she's sitting here. Um, Damn, where was I going with that thought? I just like blew a gasket. I might be getting too old. Um,
maybe you're a
what were
Kansas
you
City
saying?
Chiefs fan and you're upset. I don't know.
David. No, literally, the woman, because I don't know anything about football or any sports really. The woman goes on and says, "Well, you know who Addin Clark is? Some famous person." I went, "No," and then I have to literally hear them say, "No, you do know." And what they're trying to do is tell me a story about them hanging out with movie stars, and I never get it. I'm like, sorry, don't know who that is. And people like she went off on me. Anyway, I didn't share that story well, but you
Uh,
got a question? You got a comment?
you
What's
know what? I'm just curious. I do. I'm wondering. Like I'm just buying now, and I actually feel like I like. It's strange, but it's like I want to buy it 100, so that I can be buying at like $1,000. Like each $1,000 is worth like one. Like it's a nice even number is how I'm looking at it. But how high do you think this thing can go?
what's the time period?
I don't know, man. I mean, you think
Well, you got to know
well, let's say
the
two
answer the answer
years,
to the question.
2 years.
2 years.
$300,000.
Wow.
It's
Because
going up
I was
forever.
questioning 100 back, a couple months ago. But I feel like this Trump thing is like the like that just
Super Cycle
Do
Back
any of you guys follow Oliver Velez? He's a Twitter. He does a space every now and then. Gary, are you familiar with him?
I am not.
Great follow. You guys would get along big time. He has a great Twitter space or YouTube video, but he just tweeted he's like a 37-year prop trader, one of the most successful hedge funds of all time. Awesome story, but he just tweeted that I have only had one mentor my entire life, Paul Tudor Jones. I'm so glad
Oh my God,
mentor.
a god.
So this guy has one mentor, and it's one of the richest man in America, one of the best traders of all time, Paul Tudor Jones. I'm just thinking of we have these spaces all the time, but think of all the orange pilling that's going on Wall Street in closed corners, like that we don't hear about. The orange pilling is happening from rich people right now. It is going to get weird.
Let's go. Well, this is really why I wanted to hold a space tonight. I'll tell you because, um, and we got off track because somebody said something about people aren't, worried about buying here. I think you have two issues. One, you're not allocated enough. Okay, I don't care if you had $300 Bitcoin. There's just not any. If I think those are the guys that are going to regret this. Wow, because I think they're missing the biggest move they're ever going to see in Bitcoin. Just like I think it's the biggest move for you guys to see, and it's getting ready to happen very rapidly. I think most certainly it's going to. If you aren't shell shocked in 90 days, then you're going to be underimpressed by Bitcoin's performance.
Gary, I think when we cross 100 to 150, there's going to be a lot of people that say, I just want 100 Bitcoin. And these are going to be billionaires. And they just say they want 100 because 100 is a interesting number and they don't want to get left behind. But 100 Bitcoin at 120 grand, there's going to be some large buys coming.
See, I think that is exactly the way the wealthy are going to look at this. They're going to say, well, who else has what? Where am I in the food chain of ownership? I was disappointed I haven't been able to convert my brother to that mindset. Um, because for him, see, I think he could possibly make a mistake. His mistake will be just one of opportunity. But nonetheless, when the money shows up and in less than 4 years and your real estate deals are always somewhere minimum of 10 up to 20, like I don't know why you wouldn't whack a piece if you're wealthy into this 4 year thing and go, wow, well, I'll know in 4 years. At
Gary,
least it's liquid.
Gary, it seemed like you were kind of getting him on board. I think didn't he post
Oh,
like a laser eye picture?
no,
And he's been popping
yeah,
into
but
Bitcoin spaces like during the week.
oh yeah, no, the guy's going to be at this point. He's gagging, okay, but I haven't seen the execution notice. It's see this is when the buyers, unless they're you know uh, brought to the trough or unless they have some misunderstanding, dude, you eat that roast, I'll kill you. Um, I think there's still some. Oh, and add to that, hey, let's say you get orange pilled on this market just moved 42%, dude, in a month. Okay, so logical guys, winners, guys like that, they don't want to be wrong. Now, my brother most certainly thinks I am, reckless, and I actually might be a little reckless, but I also find these opportunities. And I continue to find them. This is the mother of all opportunities. And this one, the problem he will have is he will sit on the sidelines for the next 3.5 years. And even if he'll underdeploy, this will be my prediction. He'll underdeploy. He should buy 1,000 Bitcoin right now. He will most certainly underdeploy grossly. Uh, put his toe in the water and my hope is that he would do that right now today. Then we'd see a $10 or $15,000 move, and then he'd be like, "Okay, I'm in the money now." And that he is that kind of guy. And then he might add a little bit, but then he might just sit along. But what he should be doing for his position is smashing in because he has no downside whatsoever. Minimally, he'll get to have the whole digital Bitcoin community follow him because he's a monster Bitcoin whale. Would that be worth? That's got to be worth something. Okay, so let's call that what 3, 4, 5% of the investment. $4 million on $100 million investment. I think that's the way I look at things. So
Well, that's
that's
his
what I would
marketing.
recommend him
That's
do.
his marketing expense yearly, right? And he could make
I,
up
I don't I don't know.
entire. He could make it. He spends a lot. I know he does, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he could pay that off with Bitcoin, own the asset, and get just as much marketing because everybody would blow him up, blow all his
Most
coins up.
most certainly, most certainly. Look, he's got that event in March in Nevada. I don't know when the Bitcoin. When is the Bitcoin thing in Nevada? Is that you guys know? Does anybody know?
I think it's the first week of March.
Oh, really? Wow, that's weird. Grant's out there for his 10X event. I was like, Grant, why don't we run a Cardone digital Cardone Bitcoin thing right along the side of your deal? That'd be freaking fun. His events are unbelievable.
I,
Separate
I
topic.
got a
So
funny story on that the real estate topic. I think a lot of these
yeah,
real estate guys are just quote unquote risk adverse. They think Bitcoin's too risky, and I just I invest in some real estate mostly as a limited partner. And one of the deals my good friend ran, it was I think he raised maybe $3 million. They had to turn the keys over to the bank a couple weeks ago. The LPs lost everything. So I think people when they look at they're fearful of Bitcoin going to zero or there's no it's not. People don't realize any investment can go down, and real estate is not guaranteed to store your value. And found out the hard way a couple weeks ago through one of these deals.
Yeah, these syndications, especially the ones that were buying at 2021, interest rates are readjusting now, and a lot of LPs are getting burned big time. And that's just one of the disadvantages of getting into a syndicate. I mean, I look, I've sold pretty much 99% of my portfolio, and I've allocated just about everything into Bitcoin and MicroStrategy for the
nice.
so that's my plan. No more rentals, no more toilets, no more tenants. It's all Bitcoin now for the long term. I don't care what happens over the next 12 months.
Yeah, see what's going to happen, guys. Once this wave of real estate guys get it, uh, I mean, if I was a freaking player in the real estate, I'd be launching a damn REIT, a digital REIT tomorrow morning. That's why I was arguing with, I think it was Michael down there. This is going to happen much faster than you guys think now. It's going to be because the margins, okay, you have people trading micro strategy margins. You don't think this can continue. Excuse me, they're trading the
Options.
the bonds, okay? They're getting their hooks into the bonds, then they're trading the options, turning a boring treasury bond into, 2, 3, 4% into what did I hear? Like 48%.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you see this, although you guys, I was talking to Simon Dixon last night. I said, "Hey man, I got to get you into a different frame of thought." Okay, we have so far won the battle. We don't need to think about what they're going to do. We need to be thinking about what part of the freaking food chain do we want, because it's now down to us executing. Um, does anybody disagree with that? Because I think we're just, I think you have a pretty decent baseline where everybody on the planet's going to come in at $72 million, a $72,000 Bitcoin. The whole world, no one's going to stop. It's going to accelerate. And once you start we are having real now discussions about reserves. So um I don't know anything that's going to block this now. I mean, it almost seems too good to be true. Is Mike Glass down there? Yeah. I'd love to know what y'all's thoughts are.
Gary had to take the dog out. Did not hear that one.
What's stopping
Well,
Bitcoin now?
what's stopping it? Nothing's stopping it, man. It's done good.
Hey,
Oh
that
yeah,
that Bitcoin event is May 27th to the 29th, Gary. Just by the way,
Mate, okay,
May.
wait. What is that?
I
That's the
the Bitcoin conference in Nevada in Las Vegas, May 27th to the
okay.
29th at the yeah, it's in Vegas. Um, I feel like it's still gonna be. I'm a real estate guy. I don't know. I think you know that. I think it's still hard to convert a like Grant. Grant's a real estate guy. He's got a lot more real estate than I do, but I feel like it's still hard. Like I'm never gonna say I don't want real estate. I mean, real estate is dirt, man. Like you can like that's. I feel like it's as real. And again, obviously you know me with Bitcoin, but man, I want both. And I feel like Grant is probably the same. I don't know what kind of allocation Grant has, but I would imagine it's more than a couple percent in Bitcoin.
I think it comes down to your understanding of both assets and your conviction of both assets. People have spent tens of $1,000 hours understanding real estate. They're convicted. They understand it well. And there's people that have spent tens of thousand hours on Bitcoin and they're convicted and
Yeah,
they
it's a good point. I agree with that. I think they're both strong assets. I personally don't see
No, they're
like you
not.
have to
No,
have
they're
you
not.
would have
No, they're not.
either
No, they're
way,
not.
Gary. If
Look,
an
look.
event,
You do not put Mike Tyson in the fight with Jake. We saw that last night. It just didn't work, dude. Okay, and if you could have taken off 5 years of his life, it still wouldn't have worked.
I don't know, man.
So
Gary, I'll push back a little bit, and
okay.
I watched the Michael Saylor Red Wave video that I think was posted maybe 1 or 2 days ago. He
Yeah,
was
yeah.
talking to
It was in
millionaires,
Miami. Yep.
and he had a graph that was super interesting. It was talking about value of the assets today and where he thinks value of the assets will be in I don't know 21 years, or maybe 10 years. I forget the number, but he had real estate actually holding its own over the next 2 decades. He had Bitcoin exceeding by a huge multiple, but it was mostly eating the bond market and some of the equity market. So that's where I'll push back. I'm curious from Sailor's thoughts on how real estate market holds its own and it kind of has the same CAGR and ARR increase over time, but he had Bitcoin really outpacing it and taking over the bond market.
Well, what real estate are we talking about?
Yeah,
Because I don't think
that's
Saylor's talking about residential real estate, and
yeah, good point.
I think David is.
No, I'm
Um,
talking about real estate in general, resident, commercial
okay,
or
cool. Let's
residential.
no. Okay, no, dude,
You could.
you can't do that.
Well, it's dirt, bro. It's
How is it?
real property though. It's real. It's. I believe it's real
And Bitcoin's
property.
not real property.
Well, Bitcoin's digital real
No,
property.
no.
Uh,
What you're? Do you have a con? Do you carry your house around with you everywhere you go? When you go to Bank of America, do you carry your house with you in the Bank of America and say, "Hey, I'd like a loan"?
no, I
No, you don't.
carry
You carry. You have a
no
little piece of
deed.
paper, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you have a
get
piece of
that.
paper. In fact, now it's not even a piece of paper; it's digital. So what's the difference except that Bitcoin's decentralized and you're not?
Well, I
You-
think if
It's not.
anything
You're
crazy
not
ever
a real
happened,
world
then
asset.
I have that though, as opposed to not having access to it. Like if we ever did have something, like let's just say the internet went down or something crazy happened with artificial
Your
intelligence,
house is going to be
then
miserable, isn't it?
yeah, it is. But in
Ah,
that situation, I still have something.
yeah, but you said commercial. You said a piece of real estate. All I'm trying to say is that not all real estate is the same, and I think raw land, agriculture, well, maybe agriculture, but raw land, commercial. Assuming you want to catch a falling knife, I'm not buying commercial real estate right now in this market when I can buy Bitcoin at 90 grand.
Yeah, I agree.
Uh, a home is a total energy suck and a monetary trap. That is a horrible investment relative to Bitcoin.
Did you
The
sell your home,
only
Gary?
thing, yeah, yeah,
You
I'd
are
like to sell this one too.
wait, are you so you're renting or you have another home you're living in?
No, I had two of them. I got rid of one of them.
You put that shit
Um,
in Bitcoin, right? Good man.
oh yeah, oh y'all want to go through the math? Let me. Who was that? David. Let me share with
Ashtray.
you
So
the $2.5 million house that I sold that I reduced by 300 grand. Okay, I reduced it by 12%. Took a haircut, held it 3 years, made no money on it. Just sold it for what I could sell it for. I turned that into $66,600 Bitcoin. That was 36 Bitcoin. Could somebody tell me how many 36 Bitcoin times the current price is? In 5 months, I've done more return
3.25
on
million.
how many?
3.24.
Yeah, I sold it for 2.4. I made $1 million in 5 months on a house that I bought almost 3.5 years ago that I had to go handle, deal with, listen to every great, woodsman and elevator breaker guy, whatever, his craft. I don't care about all that shit, do I? Cost of owning a home, there's so many hidden costs. It's stupid. Anyway, I made $1 million on that trade alone. So you cannot convince me a
Hey
house. In
Gary,
fact, you can't convince me an apartment's better than this.
the only way
Bitcoin is
people
the
make
most
money, the only way people make money in real estate is through leverage. Like the only people that have ever made money in
to
real
what?
estate, leverage. They're putting down, 5, 10%, getting a loan from the bank. The property increases in value by, let's just say, for example, sake, 100%. They didn't double their money, right? They made 10x on that investment. You can't do that as easily in Bitcoin. Some people can. MicroStrategy has figured out a way to get, these convertible notes at less than 1%. But the people in the real estate market that can get extremely low interest rates and, play a 5% gain year over year are really making, hundreds of percents year over year. That's the only way you can actually profit in the real estate game. I completely agree with what you're saying about, it Bitcoin being real property. You when you have the keys, you actually own the Bitcoin. Whereas like, land across the globe is often not even owned by you, even if you think you own it. One, in the scenario that I just stated, it's owned by the bank. Two, if you actually own it outright, then your upside is lower. So there is counterparty risk or there's less profit. And then three, like in a lot of countries, the land is owned by the crown and you just own it theoretically, but they can take it away from you at any point in time. So Bitcoin is very different in many ways, but people who make money in real estate have to have access to credit and have to hope that the market still goes up, which typically it has. And you can make a lot of money in real estate if that's the case. But you can also get turned upside down if, let's say a lot of your real estate portfolio is based on rental income and the whole entire market gets turned upside down, which is what we saw happen when interest rates spiked. A lot of people weren't able to make rent. A lot of landlords weren't getting paid. They weren't able to pay their mortgages. The market was going down and they were forced in a position to sell at a loss. And when you're levered up, it's even worse. So, Bitcoin is definitely the safest play when it comes to $1 per dollar owned as far as the gains you can make. But if you properly lever up your money in other asset classes, you can definitely outperform Bitcoin, and many people have. I have.
Really? Tell me what deal where you outperformed Bitcoin in the last 4 years or 8 years.
Yeah, so I can specifically
Just go ahead.
speak.
Give it
Yeah,
to me.
yeah. So a piece of property that I bought where
Yep, yep.
I'm up here in Canada, in actually in 2020,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
I
2020 buyer. Okay, good. So you bought the price right because that was the absolute floor. Very
Yeah,
good. Real estate is always about your entry price
it is
because it.
definitely. And
Cool.
I only
Okay.
had to put 5% down,
Yeah.
right? So I
That's
put five.
awesome, dude. That's
And
awesome.
here also another thing too is like the real estate market virtually doubled in that period of time. That was kind of lucky where I got in and the timing and the location, whatever. But it's definitely not the case for everybody. And based on the leverage taken, also the other thing too is because the property went up so fast, I was even able to take more equity out of the home after the fact. And right now, like my cost basis is negative. Like I took more money out of the home than I paid for it.
Okay.
And
So I think we have the general without the whole narrative on it.
yes,
Uh, However much money you have made, you put in $5. You've made some money. If you would have put in that same money to how much Bitcoin could you have bought
yeah,
with
yeah,
no
exactly. So the
leverage?
the hurdle rate
No,
is,
just how much did you put deploy in cash?
yeah. So it was $1 million house, and it was $50,000 down. And
Cool. So you
at the
you put
time, it would have been about 3 Bitcoin,
okay.
based on the price of Bitcoin, right? And now the house is roughly a $2 million house, and I already took out the equity, in 2021 on a refi,
What'd you
and
buy with that?
Bitcoin.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like again, it's timing, and you got to make the right decisions.
So
But
so let me do it a different way because it's funny. I was trying to move you on because I had a bank give me on $8.6 million home 125% loan to value. Exact same scenario that you're talking about, same
yeah, yeah,
time period. And that was 8.6 million of buying power, my friend. You agree with that?
definitely.
Okay, so that's worth now. Can somebody tell me what 8.6 million divided by, I think the price was $8,000. That's about 1,100 Bitcoin. What's 1,100 Bitcoin today? I think it's about, I don't know, $102 million. Like, I don't think Bitcoin
99 million.
Bitcoin did not underperform my 120% loan to value on $8.6 million. I'm certain it didn't on yours either.
No, like you didn't have the money, the loan to value on the equity. Like if you sold the
No,
house,
no, I had the money.
no, but
What?
if you sold the house, you had to clear up the loan.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So
But my
it
house today is worth 18 million at best, at very best. I bought it for 8.6. I'd clear 10 million before taxes,
yeah, I
and
understand that.
could do that instantly. By the way, with
Yeah,
Bitcoin,
but
I
if you
wouldn't even have
could
to.
have, let's say you could have got the house for 5% down, right?
No, but dude, I got the house for 120% money.
Yeah, so you did outperform Bitcoin then.
Well, so did you. You told me you got
Yeah,
95
that's what I'm
cents on
saying.
the
I did.
dollar.
I did. Yeah.
Well, Bitcoin outperformed you too.
No, it didn't.
Okay.
How can Bitcoin
It would have
outperform free money?
outperformed it if you would have put that money. If you said, "Hey, I had the borrowing power," you should have made the investment in Bitcoin, not
I
the home.
I I didn't have the borrowing power unless I was buying real estate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was a smart move then. Pardon me.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to highlight. Like there are very specific conditions where buying real estate can be more
Oh,
beneficial.
really? Do you think so now? I would think that people should be looking at any asset I could unwind to put into Bitcoin that's going to underperform.
If you can get the capital at the same borrowing rate as you could and access to the same amount of capital. Like there's a lot of people that on the books they make like let's say $100,000 just for example's sake, and the bank's not going to give them $1 million to deploy into Bitcoin, right? They will give you $1 million to buy a piece of real estate
Not
if
yet.
you get what I mean.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like
You,
those
you're
those
you're singing to
scenarios,
me, man. It's
yeah.
beautiful.
I think we'll be able to get loans to buy it eventually, like a mortgage.
Th-
Yeah, there's
This is
companies working on that right now. There's like there's a few companies. I can't remember the name of one off the top of my head, but they're basically working on a way for you to put a down payment down against some amount of Bitcoin right now and pay for the loan over time. I
Yeah,
think that
Ledin, LEDN is one.
yeah, there was a few of them, but there's different structures on how that works, and some are doing like mixed collateral
Yeah,
where
we're not whatever we're doing right now, man. 6 months to 9 months, a year is going to be so different.
Gary,
Let's
when do you
move
think the
on. I don't want this.
details? When do you think the details of your brother's Bitcoin real estate fund would be released?
Well, see, this gentleman just like he just showed one of the values. The guy that can't buy Bitcoin, well, he most certainly would rent a Bitcoin community apartment building, right? Oh, I don't know. Grant's got a right now. I want his personal money in this deal. Once I get
Maybe
his
you said
personal,
this, Gary, but
yeah.
when he buys, does he have a position like of 1 or 5 or 10%, or like what? Why isn't he just scaling it a little bit, or is he just the guy that says, "Hey, I need to buy this once and be done"?
No, oh no, no, no. He'll buy it too slow. In my opinion, he'll buy it too slow. He bought all his real estate too slow too. You
I
know,
remember when your brother was on Clubhouse, he was doing some real estate rooms, and we were like, he would pop into the Bitcoin rooms, and we would yell at him to buy Bitcoin. 4 3 4 years ago, I think he did. Like, at least he said he did buy some, but not nearly as much as he should have.
yeah. Well, he was given some Bitcoin, then he bought a little Bitcoin. I think he's grossly under allocated. But look, I'm not going to share his personal position. You can talk to him yourself about it. Um, I think what is interesting is not why who asked the question, hey, what's he trying to do? Why wouldn't he just step in and take 4 or 5%, 8, 12, 86? Go actually read some documents from some of the biggest professionals in the world. Um, this move, this is why I'm so bullish about this move. Let's say that this is pretty normal for a percentage of very wealthy people, very successful. So if you start looking at the world in a like a pie chart and you go, oh wow, there's you know 2,500 billionaires, there's 405,000 ultra wealthy families, there's 62 million millionaires in the United States. um I don't know what the global number is, but I suspect it's over 100 million millionaires. um how are they going to react? How are they going to respond as a culture, as a group of people? They will most certainly, some will be very, very aggressive, and some will be very, very passive. Some will have inherited their money. Some are gamblers, right? All types, and they'll all fit in buckets. Grant fits in a bucket that is most certainly different than where I fit on that spectrogram or whatever you call it. So I'm interested in how long it takes him for the whole thing to explode in his mind like a tablet of LSD. Because once that happens, then it's Katie bar the door. I'm just trying to go to the quickest, most effective way to make his mind explode, which is, I think, hey, bro, drop $50 million into Bitcoin, buy at least half of a thousand Bitcoin. And in fact, I would say you want to buy 1,000 Bitcoin. You think about it, right? How much is 1,000 Bitcoin right now?
90
Not
million.
90 million.
Yeah, 90, almost approaching 91 million as we're chatting.
Yeah, 91 million. It's small. That's a very small apartment complex. And to the gentleman, hey, I can get all this leverage. I think $95 million investment will be much better in 4 years than a real estate investment at I buy a $95 million real estate position and I lever it up to 450 million. That's what I'm telling you. I think Bitcoin is worth more than $450 million worth of real estate as it's made up in la freaking land, monopoly land, man. Property's not worth that much money if you don't have the cash for it. So one of these two worlds is going to unwind. You're either going to give me value for something I put 100% of my cash in, and it's the most liquid asset on the planet. There's no secondary contracts on it, blah blah. Yet you're giving some guy, depending on the time of year and the condition of the government, 120 cents on the dollar in my case, or I don't know, 20 or 30%. When that starts to switch, it'll be colossal move to Bitcoin. So I don't see and why would I want all the headaches? So, and by the way, that real estate, I'm going to be on it for 10 years. In order for me to make the most money, I need to be in the real estate deal for 2 halving cycles. Unless I just bought it cheap and did a flippy. But next time you guys ask Grant, hey, Grant, with your massive position, 15,000 units, 20 years of doing this, what is the most what is the minimum required time to hold real estate? The minimum required time to hold real estate before before the return on your money begins to decelerate? That would be a fascinating question, because
But
that's
Grant,
basic.
you can just refi. And I'm kidding when I say that, because that's what every passive investor was told in these syndications 3 years ago. Put your money in 3 years, you'll double it, get it back. And you talk about this all the time, Gary. Bitcoin is so liquid. Your real estate investments aren't liquid if you own it, and they're extremely not liquid if you're a limited partner in any of these passive deals.
Oh, bro, I was going through quite a challenge 4 years ago, and I called them up. Somebody was trying to grab all my assets, and skinny woman. Okay, let's put it that way. I'll leave the rest of the drama in your mind. Anyway, um, I'm totally kidding. I have a laugh on my face. I'm just totally kidding. I was such a sucker. Um, what was your question, man? Every time I think, I go fucking nutty.
No, I forget too, but you're just talking about how Bitcoin's so liquid and real estate's not liquid, and I was just reminded of how all the syndications I did 4 years ago, I was told that you just refi and get your money back, and I haven't seen a dollar. But Bitcoin, I can sell or buy more whenever I want. I don't have to wait on a transaction to go through in these large deals, which can take 5 years or typically
Yeah.
more.
Hey, my silver, dude. I sold it 2 days before the election, and I still don't have my cash. Oh, Gary, it has to be under a certain name. I'm like, oh my God. I called the bank. Yeah, Gary, we have that one too. No problem. But it's just 850 grand, dude, just sitting there in
Is
somebody's
that
hands.
physical silver or
Yep.
equity? Oh,
No, it was also all physical silver, 23,700 ounces.
how do you even sell that much? Like, who buys that?
Peter,
Dealer.
Peter Schiff.
But any silver dealer, man. I mean, he came to my house,
Gotcha.
picked it up. You know, I mean, not any silver dealer. It was a pain. Um, I'd done gold before, but see, I moved all that too. So that 850, 750 of that's going to buy Bitcoin. As soon as I can grab it.
Mike, are you still into real estate pretty heavily?
I still own I own a decent position, but I'm not buying anymore.
Yeah, I never really got the obsession with
That's
it
code
because
for I have a uh, I have a vision of my real estate position being smaller and smaller as soon as possible. Please, Lord.
Exactly, and it's
what
also a position like I talked about when you're a limited partner in these deals.
If you need a good real
I'm
estate agent,
handcuffed.
let me know.
I can't even sell it.
why
That
what
Hey, dude, that's where I was going. I called Grant. Sorry, dude. I'll let you in. I called Grant. I said, Grant, I'm being attacked, dude. What could I sell my interest in the 4 or 5 different funds, which are effectively apartment buildings, right? He's like, bro, there's nothing I can do. I mean, it's not like you can just go get some, hey, buy me out or grab my position or I want to liquidate. You're in for 10 years. Even if you do refi, you're still in.
Yeah, Mike, what attracted you to real estate over stocks? 'Cause I noticed a lot of people who are in real estate don't like stocks, and to me, I felt like it was always kind of a shitty investment because you, like everyone said, you can't just sell it and use the money. It's like it's so so much friction, so much
I,
headaches.
I think for me it was you could call me a gold bug if Bitcoin didn't exist, and I just believe in hard assets. I thought real estate was a hard asset. I understood math, and if you can cash flow and outpace inflation, I thought it would outpace equities. So that's why I was interested in real estate
It's
until I
also
found
the
Bitcoin.
long dated leverage. There's not many assets where you can buy them with leverage and they don't mark to market on a daily basis.
Is that the real? That's the real thing, right? Like that's the real
Yeah,
driver.
that is the real driver, because think about it. If you could invest in the S&P 500 and they were going to check the value of your portfolio every 6 months, then everybody would be taking fucking margin on the S&P 500. But the risk that there's a fucking significant pullback and your LTV gets to a crunch point where you need to make good on your margin, you're in a tight spot. Whereas when they do it on real estate, and especially if you're already locked in on the rate, it doesn't even matter if they do a every 6 month valuation unless you were looking to refi. So that's really what it is for real estate. Like they'll still refinance your mortgage even if your total equity went down. The stock market, the risk of liquidation on leverage is just too high. And even though it's not necessarily too high, and a lot of the bigger players and most successful people in equities do trade on margin, it is just, you have to be more risk tolerant in order to do that, and a lot of people don't want to take on that risk.
Well, keep in mind these commercial deals are mostly 5-year terms, so there you do have to perform well in the first 5 years, unless you don't want to get absolutely screwed.
Yeah, that's fair.
We've got hands up. People have been holding out for a long time. Want to get to these beautiful people here. Resolute, in particular, you've had your hand up forever. What's going on, brother? Or ma'am? And if you're not there, we could go to Saint.
Loser.
He had his hand up for an hour. Let's go, Saint.
Yeah, cool. Gary, if you're not busy eating, I wanted to ask if you could share with us.
Oh, bro, I'm sorry. Have y'all been listening to me eat like a slob?
It's all good. I was wondering if you could share with us, if it's not private, why you met with Michael Saylor and your brother the other day, and like kind of where you met, why you met, and if you can't tell us some details, maybe you could tell us just a little bit, like it was a business meeting or whatever.
Well, I've been hoping no one asked me this, but I have to admit, I am a P. Diddy operative, and I've been running a scam on Sailor for years. He's been actually buying all this Bitcoin from me, and I've decided to come out of the closet. And in fact, he is Satoshi himself. But you guys don't spread that, okay? I expect no one to send that out or copy paste or whatever. What did we talk about? We talked about Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. And I was trying to give my brother another angle of understanding, another perspective, because quite frankly, um, it would be easy to come in here when you're highly intelligent and walk away with the probably correct assessment that there's a lot of mediocre um, understanding or even ability. Yeah, mediocre understanding of the real financial market, the way the world really works. So that see, that's just putting off a lot of people. Um, And you guys all know what I'm talking about. So getting them in front of a Sailor and some of the other people, who, by the way, are equally as important. Uh, somebody introduced Michael Saylor to Bitcoin. I want to know that guy. See,
Eric
I mean,
Eric
yeah,
Weiss.
yeah, no, I like Eric. See, I'm just trying for the audience. I mean, people think one person's there. Someone introduced someone who then did a super spin. Eric has a superpower. My brother has a superpower, but so do I.
Mhm.
And I see an opportunity here, one that helps him personally. It'll end up blowing his mind once he gets it. He's always been a little slow. Come on, let's all admit it, okay? What's the saying? You get it when you deserve to get it. I hate that saying, but I'm probably going to use it on him. I think it's a very shaming, like, well, you're just too slow to get it there. Yeah, see, that's my point, though. Eric, I was very interested in who introduced Sailor, because that's quite a feat. And they're all coming, guys. They're all coming, because now we have our communication covered at every angle.
I think it was Twitter,
Gary,
Gary, for Sailor.
did you hear the story when Eric told Sailor about it, and then Sailor called him to tell him about his first purchase? And then
Yeah, yes.
he tells Eric, "I bought 10,000," and Eric goes, "That's not that much. Like $10,000 is, you probably should have bought more." And Sailor goes, "Not $10,000, Eric. 10,000 Bitcoin."
Yeah, baby. Yeah, we had breakfast the other morning, and he reminded me of that story. See, that to me, once you get it, you get it. And I don't understand the whole tip your damn toe in the water. Now, if you don't get it, if you've run out of, you should be in a position where you run out of intelligent questions to ask as to what the risk would be. If you can find an asset class, Warren Buffett. Here's a good example of bullshit that's heard in these rooms. That Warren Buffett is a diversified investor. Warren Buffett is a vulture, absolute animal. And if you go back far enough, he'll tell you that his instructions to his investing students was be capable of making 10 investments in your entire life. You can only make 10. If you approach every investment that way, if you make one, I think three of those turn into something, you will have solved the wealth problem. Only 10. I hear people talking about 10 trades a day. And so that tells you one, oh wow, that doesn't sound like a diversified strategy, right? Doesn't. Well, go look at his holdings, okay? Because 72% of his holdings is in three stocks. So that's a lie. He's not diversified. He's a very concentrated investor. Whether he understands Bitcoin or not, who cares? Okay, we don't have to say he's wrong and we're wrong. How about this? How about he's rich, we ain't. He's super rich, we're not. Bitcoin's a window that other people fail to embrace for whatever reason, their own psychology. So let the front running continue. Like this is a front running game. It's going to end at some point. So I'm a smash and grab, TikTok, choo choo. The train is going to run people over this cycle. I really believe the train is going to leave behind whales this cycle that will never come back, get back on the train because the return won't be there.
Say,
Hey,
Gary, Michael Saylor previously tweeted that he was anti-Bitcoin. He did not. He talked a lot of trash on Twitter, which so obviously he said no, and then he went through the deep
Yeah.
thought of understanding it and changed his mind. I'm curious for you, Gary. Did you, when you first saw Bitcoin, were you opposed to it, or immediately were you down the rabbit hole and into it?
I immediately got the concept, the base, the disruptive, I mean, immediately. And then I was introduced to the carnival. and that put me off, man. I mean, I mean, look. So I passed in 16 at 800. I bought at 8,000. My first entry in 18. I bought about. I did 90-10, 90 gold, silver, and 10% Bitcoin. Um, I think that was $3 million. That was in 2018. What was my opportunity cost there? See, I look at those things. I don't get all wound up on the day that I'm losing, but I look back now and go, wow, $3 million. Uh, $3 million at 800. But see, I didn't understand it enough, and I don't think you understood it enough. I don't think anyone understood it enough. It was gambling, and I would never have done that. Gold and silver at the time was what I thought was protection against one. I had a lot of cash. I was generating a lot of money, and I believe you put money to work. Just like when you put gasoline in a car, you don't park the car because you think the gasoline's valuable. Okay. I parked that damn gasoline. I said, okay, let me go to another meeting so I can make some money so I can buy a car. So one day I can buy some more gasoline. And I want to get off that. See, I'd rather, hey, let me go to work, make Bitcoin, let Bitcoin take all the energy it's used to get here and let it grow. Let it just sit there and do its internal combustion without me having to get on the damn treadmill. So if I start comparing, for instance, I own half of a company, $250 million. That's my piece. I should have sold my piece for $50 million 3 years ago. That $50 million would be worth what right now, Michael? The price was eight.
Roughly
Call,
450 to 500 million.
yeah, okay. So call it 25,000. Say I'd have been slow to deploy that $50 million. I get out at 25, 50, even 50,000. Say 50,000. What's $50,000 worth in today's market?
It's
$50
a
million dollars.
80% return, so 90 million.
Okay, so I've taken 50, turned it into 90 on a debt that's owed me over 250, and the debt's got like 3 years. Right? You guys see what's happening here? Like there, I'm thinking of, oh wow, I just got those umbrellas, right? But they're not worth enough. I'm looking at assets or even obligations. I'd be looking at my, uh, anyway. Well, um, yeah. See, so I don't think this is going to change any.
Hey, Gary, I got a follow up question for you before we stray too far from the Michael Saylor MSTR. Do you have thoughts on MSTR? And like, a lot of people right now in this, industry, Bitcoin, crypto, whatever, mostly Bitcoiners are talking about the premium to the net asset value of MicroStrategy. Have you put any thought into
Yep.
MSTR? Do you own any MSTR or
Yep.
do you?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I'm one very lucky human being because I've met Saylor twice. One was at Nashville when I met Mr. Trump, and then we spent half an hour together. And then the last time, fortuitously, was when he now has, I think, fleshed out a good 80% of his strategy. That and I asked him to re-describe it for me and describe it for Grant. And when he went through it a second time with me, I'm like, oh my God. Short 2 days prior to that, I bought MicroStrategy stock. I had not been in it before. And I actually had begun, that's how this space started a little bit. We were talking about, because for me now, the way I'm looking at it, and I could be wrong, but I think either the ETF is the right strategy or MicroStrategy is the right strategy. But I think it's going to be between the MicroStrategy and Bitcoin. And I'm not sure Anyway, I think the strategy, the stock is supercharged by sailors' understanding of the arbitrage, and this is what's happening now. The arbitrage is getting ready to show up. I used to call it Bitcoin would act like Mercury and fill every gap. If you guys ever remember that picture, I think that's what's happening now because the returns that the financial
Yeah,
players are
the
receiving.
convertible bond notes.
Dude, like when you see people making that kind of money,
Yeah.
see they will flood to that market, and then you're going to have a rebalancing between these tools. And this is day one almost, not almost, but yeah, almost. It's day one. Shit. So I like MicroStrategy. I like the calls of MicroStrategy. I would not. I had someone try to talk me into buying the underlying equity and selling covered calls. I look at this, to me, this is not that kind of a trade. It's I think it could outperform Bitcoin because it most certainly, and this is why I didn't say forever, by the way. Let's make sure what the time period is. I do think, and the NAV, back to your point, the NAV we're talking about is usually correlated to an ETF or a GBTC or the other one, the ETE by the grayscale guys, right? Those are, yeah, net asset value means basically how much Bitcoin is audited. I have 100 Bitcoin. Good. Your 100 Bitcoin are worth X times 89,000. That's what you have as net asset value. Sailor's trading at about three times that. So he is being given value in his company, his instrument, his Bitcoin hyper derivative instrument. Now think about this, okay? What if he is like a super hub of the greatest refined energy that has no time decay and no location issues? Can be transmitted electronically without any kind of third party distribution tariff, pipeline power cost, or decay in transfer, except micro percentages. I think you would give that company like if it was Shell Oil Company and they were mining Bitcoin right now, I think you'd give them more value than just their underlying
I,
commodity value.
no question. It should definitely trade at a premium. I never understood the argument it should act as an ETF. That's nuts. But
Yeah,
keep
who
in
said
mind,
that? Who said that?
this is Astrid. But keep in mind,
No, no.
it,
Who said that it should act like an ETF?
I said it should not act like an ETF. I've heard that argument. It drives me crazy. You see it everywhere,
Oh
right? It should
yeah.
trade at
See, I
net.
don't even understand why you would.
Me neither.
Com-
But
they're not even close.
like the only thing is, which I don't agree with this. I think it should trade at a premium. It can go under the NAV. That's the risk. It's possible, right?
Well, dude, I mean, anything that has can get a premium can most certainly get a discount.
Yeah, and also like I'm not going to disagree that it can go under the net asset value,
It's
but
always going to be mispriced
well, I think
every
it's
every
just like
day.
there's an arbitrage opportunity there, just like there was with Grayscale before it became an ETF. Like the Grayscale trust
Yeah.
went into a discount after well, in the bear market, the 2022 bear market, and it was trading at nearly 50% the net asset value. And there were some really sharp investors that believed the ETF was coming and that it would convert and that gap would close. Plus, they were also bullish on Bitcoin, anyways. So they were basically buying Bitcoin at 50% discount at the bottom of the bear market. I know a few of these people in particular that did quite well on that trade. Um, but I think that the interesting part about MicroStrategy is their ability to acquire Bitcoin at a premium to the dilution that they're doing when they do dilute. It's the accretive dilution. You're getting more Bitcoin per share when they do an ATM opposed to one to one. Like if it was just one to one, it wouldn't necessarily make sense. And then if you look back at even 2022, when we were in a bear market and they weren't able to do an ATM, um, because people weren't willing to buy the shares at or above a premium, they went to the convertible notes option, and they were still able to acquire Bitcoin in excess of 1 to 1 to the share price. So really, I think that the trade on MicroStrategy, which I've come to see, is that over time, if they remain capable of acquiring more Bitcoin per share than the dilution through the ATMs and converts that they're doing, that it's basically like a compounded annual growth rate of fiat capital, except
It's the only
it's
true
Bitcoin.
flywheel. It's the only true flywheel effect that I've always thought this term, the flywheel effect, and I'll let you describe this to the audience. Every time I hear this, man, I'm like, yeah, yeah, sure, okay, got it. It's buzzword. This is a flywheel effect, man, that builds on its own energy. Can you explain that?
Yeah, it just goes back to, like I was saying, the Kager, right? Like if they acquire 10% more Bitcoin per share than they had before, like basically, let's just use round numbers. Currently, they have 270,000 Bitcoin. Let's round that down to be equal to 2.7 Bitcoin per share, just for example's sake. If they are capable of acquiring an additional 10%, which is 27,000 more Bitcoin, without diluting the shareholders. And they are diluting, but there's an increase. That's what Michael Saylor refers to as the Bitcoin yield.
Your shares are decreased, but the value of those shares increase. Is that
Accretive,
I,
accretive
I
dilution.
correct?
Exactly, accretive
Accretive dilution.
dilution, and not just that the shares increase, but they increase in excess, which is where the accretion part of accretive dilution comes in. That you are getting more Bitcoin per share, not because they're acquiring more Bitcoin and they sold into the market, but because there is a premium, they're able to sell into the market at a premium, and they're able to get more Bitcoin per share than they would if the stock price wasn't trading at a premium. And then in a bear market, like I was mentioning before in 2022, even when they were trading at a discount, Michael Saylor, as he refers to it, used intelligent leverage, and he did the convertible notes because he believed that the Bitcoin price was going to trend up over the next couple years, and he was going to become in a position where he could unencumber the Bitcoin, which is what he has done now. So there is no risk, there is no leverage risk there at the current point in time. I do believe that he will, based on his recent announcement of $42 billion raise, half through an ATM and half through convertible notes, he will again encumber the Bitcoin, but he did it pretty intelligently where the price would have had to have gone to about $3,000 per Bitcoin in order to put MicroStrategy in a position where they were going to be in serious trouble. And, as most people in here know, we only got down to about 15,500, 16,000 before the end of 2022 bull market ended. So it seems like he's figured out either using an ATM when we're at a premium or using a convertible note when we're at a, let's say 1 to 1 NAV or even a negative.
Oh, that was my bad. I was trying to make sure I was following that cat, and I fucking threw him off the stage. What? It was Teddy.
Teddy.
can't
Shit.
see the names.
Uh,
Yeah,
Somebody,
Teddy's
somebody,
awesome.
feel, keep going.
Teddy Bitcoins. The one thing I wanted to say is the rate at what these convertible notes are at is like we can't borrow at 80 basis points. Only
Yeah,
only
60,
he can.
60 is the updated. Sorry, I dropped off stage, but I'm back. 60 is the updated basis points that he's doing convertible notes at. But you do have to also measure the convert, right? Like these people are getting the shares that's a part of the convertible note at a later date, right? Like he sold convertible notes. The price of MSTR was about $150, and now the price is $350. That's over 100% return for those those people that gave the convertible note, and a lot of them are going to sell those shares because they want to take profits on the convert when they have access to. And that's what we actually saw recently. MSDR got up to about $380 per share. We saw nearly a million shares trade hands, which was a
Hey, Teddy.
convert. Yeah,
Teddy, hang tight though.
no
On the
problem.
converts, okay, let's say I'm Citibank. I pick up the converts at one. Let's see, his stock's at 340. Uh, I sold him some converts. Say 6 months ago at 100. Now it's at 340. I bought the converts were $300. Why wouldn't some of those just go ahead and pay the delta between what they bought the effectively option for and convert to shares? Or is that
Well,
not the way the game's played?
no, they get the share at the price that, like, so the
At
way that,
300,
no, at the price that they took the convert at.
it's a
So
150 then.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
so
yeah.
so
No,
they're
no, I
getting a
understand that.
premium. The real risk is that they give the loan, they give the loan to MSTR MicroStrategy, and then there's a downward move on the share price, and then they're upside down, right? But the thing is because they continue to give the money, and because the stock is trading at a premium, it's creating, this flywheel effect of being able to continue to cycle money in. And then the other thing too is MicroStrategy is getting so big that the money that they're pouring in is capable of moving the market. Like, we're talking about
Totally, man.
$42 billion, and that will increase the net asset value, which will increase the value of MicroStrategy, and it'll also increase the perception of the company and their ability to continue to do this.
Dude, they're
And
they're they're a Bitcoin refining center.
definitely, definitely, I'm super bullish on MicroStrategy right now. I wouldn't be surprised. Another big factor here that we didn't even discuss yet is passive flows. MicroStrategy hasn't yet been approved to be a part of the S&P 500 or the QQQ or Nasdaq 100, but like, there's a significant amount of capital there that is just passive investing. And once MicroStrategy is already at a point where its market cap is in those funds, it is a top 500 company. It's just not a part of the funds, because you need to have certain requirements based on number of quarters profitable, and these different factors that they look at. The FASB rule is another thing that Michael Saylor has talked about a few times. Once that is done, that'll be something that helps us move along into
January
those passive
2025,
flows.
right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So like, once those passive flows do start pouring in, some percentage of the total fund, QQQ, S&P, Nasdaq 100, are all going to be coming into MSTR. And like, there are pretty significant large whale investors that try to front run companies going into these funds, and some people say like, oh, that's already priced in. But it's less about if there's a trade opportunity to like buy now and sell then. It's more about the future passive flows. Once you are in, you get a percentage of all future capital that's being invested into those markets. And the S&P is fucking huge. QQQ is fucking huge, and Nasdaq 100 is huge. Like, there will be a percentage of all of the money in the world that's going into equities coming into MicroStrategy, whether or not they like Bitcoin or not. And they can't stop it at this point.
They're in the S&P 600 at least right now.
They're in the S&P 600, so the next move would be the 100. They'll get a bump from that.
500, not the 500.
Yeah,
Oh,
500.
500.
they're in the
No,
top 500, but you don't get you don't get
yeah,
added into the
yeah.
funds until you
You gotta suck.
pass
Yeah.
It's
certain
easier.
qualifications.
It's easier to get into the Nasdaq, but so I think that I have confidence that they'll get in there in the next, what is it, a week or two?
Well, also, like, the
Wait,
reasons.
wait, wait. You think they'll go in the
Yeah,
500 in a week or two?
no, the Nasdaq.
Nasdaq 100 currently
Yeah.
they would place 68, or at
Have they
least that
filed?
it. No, it's not about filing. It's about these certain requirements that I'm talking about.
I guess they would go into Nasdaq though, not the S. What he would get the biggest bump by the 500, wouldn't
They're going to go in everything.
Yeah, they'll go in the 500. The only issue with the 500, from my experience, kind of being at companies that we're trying to get in, is sometimes they can be a little bit weird about certain things.
Yeah,
Um,
like ATMs.
like ATMs and also like governance structure. Like I was at a company, I don't know the name, but like we met all the criteria for years, and I asked like, why did
he?
we never
He's
get
not
in?
going to get listed on both, guys. He's going
No,
to
he
get
will.
listed.
Well,
He
I
will.
think he will, because
I didn't.
it's just such a crazy return. Like they're gonna have to give
No,
in, but
but
they're
doesn't.
gonna be weird about the Bitcoin shit though. The committees. That's the only downside. They're
But hang
weirdos.
tight, guys. Hang tight.
MicroStrategy is
I,
going to be $500 billion company. They're going
guys,
to be in the fucking S&P and the Nasdaq.
They'll get in. They'll get in for sure. I just know that they're gonna, have issues with. They're like, oh, Bitcoin, blah blah blah. You know how they are, because they have a committee that decides. It's not just 100% algorithmic. Nasdaq, they'll get in though, for sure, for sure.
I think they'll get in every single fund. It's just a matter of time. It might
Yeah, hopefully.
like right now they should be in the Nasdaq. They should be in the S&P 500 based on market cap. But like you said, it's not just market cap. So, but my point is like once people realize like, okay, this company should be in these
So,
funds,
so you think
they
it's gonna be
will be.
500 trillion bucks in a year?
No, 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 no. Five,
Uh,
sorry, did I said half a trillion, right? 500
yeah,
billion. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I think that
Sorry,
there'll
500
be
billion.
yeah, I think that there'll be a $500 billion company sometime in the next, maybe 5 years. But
So,
it
so I'm gonna be
also,
super rich too. What are we gonna do with all this money?
yeah, well, yeah, exactly, right? Fuck.
Teddy, Teddy, I just looked up the valuation of MicroStrategy's market cap in comparison to its Bitcoin holdings, and
Yeah,
apparently the Bitcoin holdings valuation is more by like $1 billion more than the valuation of the company as far as market cap on the stock market. Can
no,
you
I
speak?
think you're confused. The
You flipped it.
the net asset value is roughly like 20-ish billion, and maybe slightly more, slightly less, 25 maybe. And the yeah, it's 25, I think, is a closer number. And then the market cap of the company is 70-ish.
Okay, so that's what you were talking about, 3 to 1. It's trading.
Yeah, roughly 3 to 1. It's actually like a closer to 2.9 to 1 premium right now. So like a lot of people that are bearish on MicroStrategy, the point that they argue is like, why would I pay $250,000 for a Bitcoin when I can buy it for 90,000 right now, right? Like that's the argument that they make. They're like, all this company does is buy Bitcoin. Like I'm paying a 2.9 premium on the price of Bitcoin. It doesn't make sense. But once you understand the mechanisms that they have in place to accrete value for their shareholders, and not just value, but Bitcoin, right? Like that's the value that they're accreting through dilution and through corporate bonds. That's when it kind of clicks. And I think that the close to 3x premium that is currently on their share price is the market saying, we understand for the most part that they are going to be able to continue to accrete value through dilution and through corporate bonds to the effect of a 3x on the net asset value per share over the next, let's say, 10 to 20 years. And the market has already priced it in. Now, I do think that over the next 12 months, we're going to actually see a quote unquote Bitcoin yield per share in the range of 20 to 30%. Because the more bullish the market is, the easier it is for them to do an ATM at a premium, and the higher the premium goes, the more money they can raise and buy more Bitcoin per share.
Who's
So
this
if we
speaking? I
do
can't see the
see that,
names.
sorry,
Who is this speaking? I can't see the names. Like they're all frozen.
my name's Teddy Bitcoins.
Is this the one with
But
the Bitcoin great again hat?
yeah, it is.
Okay, I see it.
hey,
Yeah,
Teddy,
so
Teddy, check this out. MicroStrategy advancing toward potential going into the 500. The key requirements for the 500 S&P 500 include having a market cap. If you said this before, but I think here's something interesting: market cap of at least 15.8 billion, sustained profitability over the last 4 quarters. Its current market cap is around 12.1 billion. To meet the market cap, MicroStrategy, you told me the stock was at 340, correct? In
Yeah.
order for it to go into the S&P 500, it needs a $937 price. So we're 3x from here for him to walk into the S&P
Okay,
500D. Dude, this is exciting.
so we'll be there about February or March. Not a
Well, I
problem.
think I think one of the things that's
Maybe.
important to recognize there, Gary, as well, is that the reason why MicroStrategy isn't showing 4 quarters of profit is because they intention, and it's not just 4 quarters of profit in a row. It's actually a certain number of quarters across the last, I think it's 12 or 16 quarters.
Well, it doesn't really matter, man, because they don't have
No, but they
the
use
market cap anyway. So
they use the wash trading rule, right? They're
yeah,
allowed to sell Bitcoin and buy it back and recognize the loss. And they did that. And that actually negatively impacted their ability to get into the S&P. But it doesn't matter. And
no, I'm sorry. I cannot agree with you. I may be totally wrong, but I don't really want to argue about it. It says clearly you have to have a market cap of 15.8 billion,
yeah,
which
but
today
their market cap
They
is,
have a market
there
of
is
71,
yeah,
71
70
billion. Why does everyone keep
71
saying
70 billion.
that?
billion.
It's
So okay,
it's
no, hey, maybe you're right. Then
yeah.
this thing
I think
goes
people are looking
stupid.
at some old news because everyone keeps saying like 12 billion. It's um there's a
Yeah,
you can
no,
go to
their market cap is 70 billion. But the thing is, I think that at the point in time when they would have been able to, based on their quarterly earnings, they were at a $12 billion market cap. And then the point that I was making is they chose to wash trade Bitcoin for a loss.
Yeah,
So in 2022, instead of trying to get into the S&P 500, they recognized a loss on their books because they wanted to capture the loss for future.
game.
Yeah, exactly,
They
to
wanted to be
offset.
able to. So what companies do? He's a smart guy. Okay, basically it was his. Hey, I'm going to go create an insurance policy over here. Nobody's going to give me any credit for these earnings anyway. So let me go take a loss, and I'll be able to offset that against future and benefit my shareholders. In which this case, he'll buy more Bitcoin. He's a
Yeah, that's
Bitcoin
right.
refining machine.
Yeah, but in doing that,
Yeah,
he did fuck up the quarterly earnings to
yeah.
that allow them to qualify. So like I think we were talking about it the other day, me and some people that are, bullish on MSTR, and I think it's like 5 quarters out, if they are profitable over the next like 4 or 5 quarters, that they'll be able to qualify for the S&P 500.
Wow,
But whatever, at that
what
point.
awesome timing though, man.
Exactly, and that's kind of what we
Another
were
another
saying as
little
well.
another little lift, huh?
Right when people expect a potential bear market to come, like MicroStrategy gets added into the S&P and has passive flows and starts buying another $50 billion worth of Bitcoin. Might shake up the previous 4 year cycles that we've seen.
Yeah, he and I agree with him on one thing massively, which is Bitcoin is going to destroy every model ever presented to mankind.
accept the power law. Come on.
Mhm. All right.
I'm joking with you. I like the power law, but I'm not saying
Hey, I like
it's
it, man. I like it, but all laws are made to be broken and will be on a fairly regular basis if you let shit happen.
I do trade with a very small percentage of my holdings, mostly because I'm like irresponsibly long. So I do try to sell at
I hate you,
certain
man.
points. But I think that the power law is, an interesting model to kind of pay attention to if you are going to try to trade. But I also think that it is potentially another model that gets broken. And in Bitcoin, typically models get broken to the upside. So
I don't
that
think
would be,
anyone would have a problem with that here.
yeah, exactly.
um, shit was. Yeah, I sell a little bit. I bought MSTX for like $24. Like I don't know, a few months ago. I sold all of it. Sometimes I try to, be a little bit non-greedy, even though I know it's going up. But you know,
Yeah, I bought some MSTU at $66 like 3 weeks ago, and I'm pretty happy. I should have sold it when it bounced to
What what
180.
what was the use? What's the use, man?
The
it's
MSTU is a 2x leverage.
Yeah. Wow,
Yeah,
dude.
so
So
is
so
X.
walk me through something. So without, I mean, if you're don't you know, uh, what will you do? You put a few, let's say 10 units on MSTU. It has no expiration. It's just
yeah, that's
underlying.
right. The only risk of the 2x leverage stocks are time decay.
Yeah.
So, and the decay can be pretty gruesome over time because it's not just fees, but it's also
Yeah.
downward trajectory. So,
It's
Can
like,
you can you
it's hard to
manage
deal
it?
with.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It
for sure.
it's 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 one of those things that is kind of hard to understand. But from trading with leveraged ETFs, it seems like when you're going up, it doesn't really have a problem. But then when you go down, like you get kind of wiped out real quickly. It's real weird how
Yeah.
it works. So
Yeah.
I said I got a three, like over a 3x. That's enough, dump it. But I feel like it's easier to do with options. You just have to be more active because you have a better sense about like the time decay and the theta decay. But
I
these leverage ETFs are kind of confusing because it's not
Yeah,
And
clear
and
what's
I would
going on.
agree with that. I would
you
agree
don't
with that.
you don't and you think what you're going to multiply that 3x multitude times of the year? Is that what the
I look to
No,
rebalance. Personally, I look to rebalance into the stock. So I do the same thing. I was doing the same thing with BitX and the Bitcoin ETFs, which is the 2x leverage Bitcoin stock and the basic ETFs.
Yeah,
This
how long you been doing this again? I forgot.
BitX over a year. I was buying at like 19, kind of right when it came out, and there was some that I held through a pretty gruesome downward trend that I didn't perform as well as I would have if I just held Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But MSTU is just a month or two old, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a 2 month old
Yeah.
stock. So I bought, shortly after it came out at $66,
Mhm.
and it went up to 180 just last week before those converts happened, and now it's pulled back to around 120, 130. But it's still a 2x in like a few weeks, and MicroStrategy is only up 30%, right? So I typically will sell some of my leveraged position into the stock, usually my cost basis. So I'm leaving some on the table, quote unquote, house money to try to ride the leverage up even further. And
yeah,
if
same
you buy
thing.
at the wrong time though, and it does go down on you, like it's just more pain than it would be if you bought the stock.
Yeah, I did. I converted. I sold most of it, converted some to options, some to shares, and then some to just Bitcoin.
Yeah, I
Um,
I bought some pretty good options for December of next year
oh
Okay. Hey,
yeah,
expiry.
hey guys, I want to know price Friday 8 p.m. What's the price? We're
I
gonna
already
get
said
off this.
97K
Okay, good. Let's
What's
get some
the what's the time horizon?
next Friday.
Friday 8 p.m. Binance settlement BTC.
Oh, I don't know. I typically watch stablecoin prints to determine if we're going to break new all-time highs. I haven't seen one since we hit 93 last time, so I do think that we are going to see another billion or two printed by Tether, and if that's the case, then I think we'll go to somewhere between 96 and 100 or
Did we get one?
102.
Did we get one?
No, we haven't since November 14th. Um,
Okay.
and that was the day that we pumped to 93 and pulled back. So I wouldn't be surprised if we bounce off 93 here in the next few days, or we see a tether print. And if we see a tether print, then 98 to 102K is definitely
Yeah,
possible.
that sounds right. Sounds exactly right to me. Like 101, 102.
And we've
And then
also seen a $2 billion tether print, which we didn't see the whole entire pump of 2024. Every single print was $1 billion, and now we've seen 7 billion printed since the election,
Wow.
which took us from 74 all time high to
oh,
93 all time high. So
so, Teddy, you bought December what strikes?
510.
Yeah, I bought. I literally bought three April like 7 or 680s.
Yeah, that's pretty aggressive. The 510 was the highest option I could
I
take for a
I
strike.
I wanted to get, because this is my normal account, because usually I'm more aggressive with the tax deferred, but the December was so expensive, man. It's like that. It was just so much money. I wanted. I just took more risk. We could be. We'll be at 700 by April, man. You don't think? Come on. I think so.
I do think we will. Yeah, I think that as long as Bitcoin trajectory is bullish over the next 12 months, which I think it will be, I think that MicroStrategy goes to $2,500 to $5,000 per share in the next 12 months.
Yeah, I feel like
That
life.
gives it, hang tight. That gives it a market cap. That's a 7 to 8x.
Yeah, let's
The
say
$490 billion market cap.
that's right. Yeah, at an all-time high, I think it could reach the half a trillion market cap.
Hey, what do you think 390 call options Jan 27 are worth then?
Like $30,000, $40,000.
Would they be?
Oh, I'm just pulling out of my ass, but it's
Yeah.
gonna hit a lot.
Yeah, it'll
a
be a lot.
a lot.
Teddy, are they printing enough tether to basically cover the increase in market cap as Bitcoin goes up? Is that what
Not it's not the increase in market cap. It's by demand, right? So Tether is printed by demand. So USDT and USDC are the two most common trading pairs for Bitcoin. So if a player wants to buy $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, they don't do it with cash, right? They do it with stable coins through the order book. If they're not doing OTC, then they have to do it
Teddy, who do you
with
think this
stables.
is? Like,
The
because
$7 billion
yeah,
that is
because it's. I feel like a lot of these institutions are gonna buy through IBIT. So like, who would this be that wouldn't? You know what I mean? Would want to custody their own.
yeah,
What are
so
we thinking here?
I think that a lot of it is through IBIT, but IBIT is buying through OTCs and OTCs are going to the order book with stables. So
Oh, I see. I
that's how
see.
they have
Got
to
it.
go, right? Because if you set your pair trade on a exchange, let's say you have 1,000 Bitcoin you want to sell and you want to sell it at 100 grand, your pair trade is 100 grand per Bitcoin times 1,000 Bitcoin is $100 million, and you're asking for 100 million in USDT, right? So when they go to buy it, they're buying it in USDT. It doesn't matter if the end customer is paying dollars. So when we see Tether getting printed, it's because there is new demand from someone that wants to buy some amount of Bitcoin or other shit too, right? Like Ethereum or Solana or some other garbage.
Or smoking chicken fish.
Fucking Peanut or fucking Marshall, Joe Rogan's dog or some fucking random fucking shit coin.
Hey,
But for the
if I could,
most part,
there you
you
go.
know, the way I think about it, just to kind of make this easier, is Bitcoin dominance is roughly 50 to 60%. So when I see $1 billion getting printed, I just assume that roughly 60% of that demand, so $600 million for every billion, is going into Bitcoin. And then you can run like a multiple based on the float of available Bitcoin for what the price will go to. And based on the last, I would say, 40 to 50 USDT prints that we've seen, Bitcoin has gone up within 7 days about 5% after each and every single one of them. Um, so I do trade off this. I trade futures. And any single time I see like a notification that Tether printed $1 billion, I open a long. And, you know, about 35 out of 40 of the last $1 billion printed, I've been successful in getting 100 to 200% return on investment.
Nice. Shit. Yes. I forgot what's this. Uh,
Hey, Teddy,
Oh,
I got a quick question for you if you don't mind me jumping in. Obviously, these long dated calls, I mean, they're getting stretched out. The pricing on this is so expensive. And Gary, to your question, like a January 2027 call is up to $760 now. It costs you about 14 grand for one contract. Um, but there's a lot of talk.
What's the Jan 26?
The Jan 26 is, if you're looking at the very, very highest strike, 760 is
390. 390.
390.
Yeah.
390, you're looking at about $171 or 17 grand for one contract. But what I wanted to ask you, Teddy, is a lot because I'm in the whole.
Is
I'm
that
part.
cheap or expensive?
I think it's very expensive, but it's expensive for a
Well,
reason.
it's not expensive or cheap. It depends what you think the stock price is
That
going to go to.
that's correct,
Because
right?
like if
Yeah.
those end up being in the money, right? So for
Hmm.
example, the
You
the
guys were
500
just saying that the stock price could go to what did we say?
2500 is my
Yeah.
estimate.
Wait,
Yeah.
when was that time
Yeah.
frame for 2500?
I think in the next 12 months.
Next. Wow. Wow.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
all
So
this stuff is crazy.
That's a
what's a January 2026 $390 $50 out of the money call option worth?
it's
Let me guess,
it's
18
set.
grand.
It's 17 grand. Yeah. Hmm.
Oh
No,
wow.
no, yeah, no. But what's it worth when
If
it
we're at
gets?
$2500 a share,
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
Oh my
well,
God, come on, Jesus, a
um
lot.
Let me see here.
probably
Well, see, my
probably
point
roughly like 10x
and he
your
said
money.
next year though. This is a call option that's long dated.
Should
He
I buy more
said
calls?
he said next year it could get to $2,500. Can you imagine what a long dated call option like that would be worth?
I'm in it.
Well, that's why I bought long dated
Me
calls.
too. Me too.
Should I buy some more? I got like 6 contracts across the
Yeah,
year.
probably.
I should probably buy some more, right?
Hey, I would
Like
I would spread
if
them
you're
out. I would
bullish,
spread
if
them
you're
out so your
bullish on the next
taxes.
12 months, which like I don't see any reason not to be, then you should probably have some exposure to long dated calls.
Oh, I got a. Oh yeah, I think I got my max is June. You know what's weird? Like this shit's like surreal. Like I made MSTX like basically what I make in a year, and I'm like, what should
Yeah.
I do with myself? It's
Have
crazy,
you
right?
guys
Yeah.
seen have you guys seen the guy, his name's Radu?
Yeah.
He he's up like 15,000% on his calls.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's like
so is
what are you
so
supposed
is
to do
Josh
now?
Mandel.
You
So
know he's exercising them.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw that he sold some.
Well,
Yeah,
So
but
no,
I mean he's buying the stock. Like he wants the stock. He doesn't want the profits right now. He's fucking riding that wave. It's crazy.
and you've seen Josh Mandel's portfolio. He's been posting on videos. It's incredible how
he's a
much he's
mastermind trader, dude. He works for
incredible,
Solomon.
incredible, man. Yeah.
He works for Solomon and shit doing bonds. Like that guy is he's like an actual trader, not these fake gurus like what's that one
Yeah.
guy who shorts Bitcoin with the ponytail?
Yeah, it's a hack. This is like a hack of a lifetime potentially. And I could see a gamma squeeze coming down the road here, but Teddy. If you're thinking it's going to get up to 2,500 in the next 12 months, these market makers are going to be in a serious crunch here.
um
Yeah, that's actually my thoughts. So sorry,
Yeah.
just quick. Like I think it gets to $2,500 without a squeeze.
Mm,
And I was like, and honestly, it might be crazy, but that's kind of like, in my opinion, a somewhat conservative estimate.
wow.
Um, and that might sound crazy to people because it's $350 a share right now, but I think that Bitcoin could, 3x and that could happen,
Hmm.
right? Especially with like this flywheel, the premium, the market pouring in. We could see that happen without any squeeze. And then if there was like, people starting to short MSTR and getting behind and having to buy back stock, like, and we see a squeeze, like we could see a crazy fucking number on MSTR shares.
Absolutely.
so I feel like kind of everything's kind of weird now. It's like what are we supposed to do now? Like I don't even.
I just chill,
Buy.
man.
Yeah,
Just
chill and
wait
wait.
for it.
No, I mean like
Yeah.
yeah, I know, but it's like I almost kind of throw in the towel with work. I'm like I don't really care anymore.
Oh yeah. I run my own businesses.
I try to
Like
care though, because I want to do good work, but I'm getting lazy, man.
What are you going to do, dude?